Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the 365 Sports Newsletter, Baylor Video Edition. I'm Craig Smoak with you each Wednesday. If you want to be a part of 365 Sports Newsletter, which I guess you are if you're watching this video, but maybe somebody watching off to the side, like I want in on that action, go to 365sports.video. You'll see the newsletter, but you'll see a space to put your email address in and get signed up. And each Wednesday, we will have the newsletter delivered to your inbox, and this is the Baylor Video Edition, but there's all sorts of other videos, one at least for every team in the Big 12, plus an accompanying article as well. So a nice appetizer, a nice first course during the middle of the week for you to prepare yourself for the week ahead in Big 12 and in college football, but particularly for the 16 teams in America's conference, the big 1-2. So talking some Baylor football this week is not quite like it was when looking back at last week and this massive overtime win over SMU. This is a win, and it's always better to talk about a win than a loss like we were talking about in week one after Auburn. But this was definition of an ugly win against Samford in Waco on Saturday as the Bears moved to 2-1, 42-7 over the Samford Bulldogs. But a game where I feel like there's definitely room for complaints, I think, of fans and complaints or criticism or just a tough review of the actual display we saw out on the field. A much inferior opponent. You wondered, is Baylor going to look sharp and just kind of mow them down and take care of business and move on to the next one the way that you would hope that they would? Or is this going to be a little scenario where you're kind of playing with your food? Do you look a little sloppy? Well, it was the latter. A little bit of a sloppy effort there from the Bears for sure, and I'm not excusing it entirely because, well, you want to play your best, but I'm also not that surprised. I mean, think about it this way. If you have this hype building up for an entire offseason for this first game of the year and this SEC opponent and every bell and whistle imaginable to decorate a game up like you had with Auburn, Auburn's coming to town, maybe the only time ever, biggest non-con opponent in McLane Stadium history, national broadcast, Friday night game, blackout, black uniforms, return of chrome gold helmets, drone show, legends in the building. I mean, you had Seth Russell and Bryce Petty and Robert Griffin all under one roof, which I don't know how often that's happened, if ever. Like maybe a couple of times before where they all could have their schedules work out that way. Nick Florence, too, can't forget about it. Like the four horsemen of Baylor current quarterbacks over the last 20 years. You had all four of those guys, and it was a big dadgum deal, and ultimately it felt like a big deal in the atmosphere, and afterwards it was a loss ultimately, but a loss where you take it on the chin and you go, hey, Auburn's a pretty dang good team. We're not going to hold our heads too low about that one. Hey, and we don't have time to. We got to rev right back up the very next week. You're going to Dallas to take on an ACC opponent, an in-state unofficial rival in SMU who was just in the college football playoff last year on their turf. You know that there's going to be a bunch of Baylor fans there. You know there's going to be a bunch of SMU fans there because there's a lot of crossover. And sure enough, that was the case. And SMU rolled out some bells and whistles for this big non-con matchup and a big opportunity for them to make a statement. They made a statement when they made the college football playoff, but it also helps to go and beat a TCU like SMU has an opportunity to do this weekend, or to beat a Baylor when you have those cracks at them. And Baylor goes up there, and in what was a thrilling game that looked like it was going to be yet another loss, another blemish, and quite frankly, a pretty bad loss had they dropped that one up in Dallas. Instead turns into this incredible overtime win for the Bears to give them their first win of the season. And there's all of the fallout and the aftermath of the celebration and the feel-good nature of that win. And then you turn around the next week, and it's not some big non-con, like crossover Power 4 opponent. It's not some in-state rival. It's not some SEC darling. It's not pageantry. It's not drones and blackout uniform. It's just a regular Saturday game against a team that you paid six figures to come eat a loss, basically. That's what Samford came to do. They came to eat the pin. They said, pay us, we'll come, you can hook the leg, pin us 1, 2, 3, take your win and move on. We know our role, we know our job. We're going to fight, but we kind of know at the end of the day what the deal is. And that's what this game was. And so having said all that, I'm not surprised that you couldn't rev yourself up the way that you did for Auburn in week one and then rev yourself back up the way you did for SMU in week two. There wasn't a lot of meat on the bone here, so I'm not totally discouraged by the fact that this wasn't the prettiest game. You were still fully in control, 14-7 after the first. It was 35-7 at halftime, 35-7 entering the fourth, and then 42-7 when all was said and done. Sawyer Robertson did not play very well. I mean, you've got to protect the football. You can't throw 2 interceptions. In this game, you could get away with it, but you can't do that against Arizona State coming up on Friday and expect to probably walk away with a W. But Bryson Washington had a nice game, 135 yards, 2 scores for the young man from Franklin. But just not a lot of fireworks, even though the score was 42-7 when ultimately it was said and done. It was a game where you handled your business, and a lot of guys got involved and had, some fun moments, some fun scores. But it wasn't like this pristine, just buzzsaw-like performance. So what does that mean for this weekend with Arizona State? It means they need to play a lot better. And this should be a game where you're able to rev back up. And I'm assuming that they will. I'm assuming that last week was just a matter of, it's Samford. We know we're going to win this game. We know that we don't have to play perfect to win this game. And this certainly can't be the mentality of the locker room. But human being to human being, I'm just kind of assuming no matter how well you program yourself, it's not the same as playing Auburn on a Friday night and everybody getting excited about it. Arizona State, though, now that's one where you rev yourself back up. And really, from here on out, they're going to have to stay revved up because there are no gimmies in the Big 12. That should be clear as day by now. And this one, certainly, the defending or reigning Big 12 champions, Kenny Dillingham and company, this is going to be a hell of a game. Baylor right now, as it stands, is favored at home for Saturday's evening 6:30 kickoff. And the ESPN matchup predictor has them as the slightest of favorites, 53.7%, according to ESPN Analytics, to 46.3%. The spreads bounced around a little bit. I haven't been able to just land on a good one. But last I looked, Baylor 5.5-point favorites, which kind of seems like a lot actually to me because I expect this to be a very tight ball game. And as it stands right now, I'm not sure who I'm picking, although I am leaning Bears because of the home field advantage. What I do feel like I know is that this game is going to be a shootout. I think that Arizona State's got a lot of offensive firepower that's going to give this Bears defense that has been very up and down to murky at times. I think they're going to have their hands full with Sam Leavitt, who's going to be probably a first-round draft pick in the NFL come April, and Jordan Tyson, who, barring something completely unforeseen, will definitely be a first-round draft pick in the NFL draft coming up in April. One in Jordan Tyson, almost assuredly, and Sam Leavitt right there on the cusp of that as well. They've also got a couple of good running backs that have replaced Cam Scatteraboo, who, yes, was almost, it felt like they're everything last year. But you got guys like Raleek Brown that have stepped in, Kanye Udo, who they brought in from Army as well, that have been able to pick up some of the slack. Not quite. It's not like having the carbon copy of Cam Scatteraboo, but they've got some guys that can run the football and be effective. And I do think that the Baylor defense, in probably most every game from here on out, now that I think about it, not every offense in the Big 12 is all that great, but most games they're going to have their hands full. This game, they will definitely have their hands full. A massive, massive test. But on the flip side, the same applies to Arizona State's defense. You got Sawyer Robertson, who might end up being a first-round draft pick, but he's definitely going to be a draft pick at some point coming up in April. You've got Bryson Washington. You've got, as well, a crew of wide receivers they've added to this offseason, but also brought back with the likes of your Josh Camerons and also your new faces like your Kobe Prentices. Ashton Hawkins, a guy you brought back. Michael Trigg, a guy you brought back. But some of the new faces that have been added also providing a big spark for your offense. I think that this could be a hell of a shootout come Saturday, and that's kind of what I expect at this point in time. I'm leaning Baylor in this game. I think it ought to be an electric atmosphere. Again, a night kick. The reigning Big 12 champions, both of you are 2-1. It's the first Big 12 conference game. This is an important win for whoever takes it away because I think you put both of these teams in the contender category, and one of them will take a big step up with that 1-0 start. So I'm very much looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be a tight one. And I'm right now, like I said, leaning Bears. Garrett Ross, what say you on your prediction for this weekend?
Man, I would like to see Baylor win it, but I'm kind of thinking Arizona State comes in and gets it done. And I'm with you. I think this is going to be a shootout game. I think this is no more than a field goal about whoever wins this matchup. But I need to see Baylor consistently take control of the trenches and stop the run before I can have confidence in picking them to win. And it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, Udo and Brown and Levitt can run a little bit as well. They're going to test that Baylor defense. But again, I think this is like kind of two teams Spider-Man memeing each other, like great offenses. We don't know quite on defense. We know in Baylor's case a little bit more, watched a little bit more of them. It's been no bueno at times. Auburn made them look kind of silly in a lot of cases. SMU put up a lot of numbers on them as well. Ultimately, I think this is a Baylor team that's going to often have to outscore people and just get that one extra stop, and this game feels like it's going to be one of those games. I would be shocked if we see one of these teams just go roll off a 2-3 score or 2-3 touchdown type of win. Either way, that would be shocking to me, and I'd have to really reconfigure and reflect on what that means if that were to happen. But I don't expect that. I think this is going to be a hell of a game, though, and what a nice first trip for Arizona State. It's got some stakes behind it. They obviously have some gravitas behind them after last year that otherwise, yeah, it'd be cool to see Arizona State roll into town for the first time, new Big 12 mates and all that. But with what the Sun Devils did last year, with the respect Kenny Dillingham's built, with all the sunshine that's spotlighting Sam Levitt, there's some meat on the bone here that I think should put some butts in seats from all around the area, and also some folks from Tempe making the trip as well. So safe travels to all Sun Devils faithful or anybody rolling into town for that game. Ought to be a good one. I think the weather should cooperate. It's kind of just still sort of humidity, sticky at this point in time in Texas, but not like putting your head in the oven type of heat like we typically have this time of year. And who am I talking to? Sun Devils are used to heat anyways, just maybe not the humidity, but should be a nice evening on the Brazos is what I'm getting at, and should be one hell of a football game. I'm leaning Baylor, but I'm very much looking forward to this one, and there will be huge ramifications in the Big 12 early title picture as well with whoever emerges victorious. Nice win over Samford. Sloppy, but it was a W. Cannot be sloppy against the Sun Devils, or it most likely will not be a W. We talking 3-1, we talking 2-2. Those are very different records coming out of the other side of this ball game, and also depending on how it unfolds. Look forward to talking to you about it next week on the Baylor 365 Sports newsletter. Sign up 365sports.video each Wednesday. A newsletter with a new fresh video from me and a cast of others will drop in your inbox for all 16 teams. You want to read about each team, you want to watch something about each team, we got you covered from Arizona all the way to Utah. I believe I covered all of the bases there in the alphabet. 365sports.video. Until next time, for Garrett Ross, I'm Craig Smoak.